Welcome to the shed.
Hello and welcome to the shed. My name is Kobe.
I'm Lee, and today's guest we've got Ewan.
Welcome, mate.
Welcome.
We're just going to talk today about the upcoming weekend, the Six Nations, really.
Big weekend.
It is, yeah, because the biggest game, the biggest rivalry of the Six
Wales
Nations.
and England.
It is. I'm excited, to be honest.
Normally a crowd raiser, but because of coronavirus, not much.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, we haven't had rugby for a long time, really, have we, since autumn? And, that wasn't exactly the most exciting for Wales, was it?
No, that's right, yeah.
So it's important for us, I think, this one. Well, it's important for PVAC, I think, this weekend, because we're still on for the Slam. We're second.
Yeah, 2 from 2.
And I think this is going to be our challenge, because if we can get past England, if we can scrape past England now, it could be ours to lose because of France's unfortunate situation at the moment.
Yeah.
So, last week I would have said it's France's to lose, 100%. And I would have said that this week if they had their normal team, but unfortunately doesn't look like they're going to. So
Yeah, it's a lot of COVID in their camp at the moment, isn't it? Was it 6 or 7 people gone down
I
with
think
COVID?
so.
It
Some
went up to
more
like
this morning,
13,
I think.
Pardon?
I think it went up to like 13.
Never.
Some
Never.
more today, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and from what I've read today, that I think they've got a 31-man squad. So I don't know how many of them they've brought in. Which
If it's their first team players that's come out of that COVID, then they're going to struggle. They are going to
100%.
struggle.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, you just never know. You never know with France, and we are talking about the Sean Edwards.
Yeah.
They've basically based off their defence. I mean, they've been a different breed since he's gone into there, and you've seen the effect with them straight away. 4 weeks
of course,
and they were a different team already. And France have always been there and thereabouts, but I think the one thing they've always lacked is that collision dominance and solid defence, which they've got now, which is shown really. So
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, only time will tell this weekend. But what do you think about Ireland?
Wow, they got Sexton back now, so that's a big gain for them. I must admit, I don't think I'm a fan of Billy Burns, who replaced Sexton for the last week or two. I don't know. I just don't think to be honest, I don't think he quite cut it at national level. He's sort of shown that.
But do you think Sexton's still got in him nowadays?
I mean,
He's Asian.
it's
been
difficult.
a while, hasn't he? So
It's difficult because if you look at, what is he, a year older than Alan Wynne?
yeah,
And now, if you look at Alan Wynne to Sexton, I would say Alan Wynne looks less out of place because he's involved, he's in the mix, whereas Sexton's relied upon to be that creative guy, to call the shots, to still be physically, dominant, I suppose, but also, govern the game, which is probably why he's in the limelight a bit more than Alan Wynne, I would say.
Yeah.
So, do I think he's still got it? Yeah, I think he's capable to still perform. Don't know how long for. But sometimes you look at the Irish team and you're like, well, have they really got anyone in there outside of him where it's offering him something
Exactly.
as a 10?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, their team is basically running off him.
Yeah.
If he's out of the game, there's nobody there to give that
There's no governor.
spark.
There's no one to get the team rolled up
No,
to get
it's
going.
not. It's
No.
not.
And-
To show something different.
Yeah. I mean, Ireland back in the day, you look at their team, wow,
It was some big names back
O'Gara,
then.
Brian O'Driscoll,
Yeah.
Sexton, Peter Stringer, that's just the backs. What's the 15? Jesus, I think he retired not long ago. Can't think now.
I can't think of his name.
But absolute brilliant player. But you look at their team now and you're like,
Yeah.
That's all I.
But I think these
but-
big names in these teams now, I think it's time for them to shell out and start bringing these young, fresh boys back through.
Well, yeah, I was quite surprised that because Sheedy, when he started sort of, getting himself on the map, he had the opportunity to go to Wales, Ireland, or England, and obviously he chose Wales, but
Thank
great
God.
decision. But I mean, I was questioning as to why he didn't go to Ireland, because they don't really have a 10 behind Sexton now. They've shown that
Yeah,
by
I
his
suppose,
injury now.
yeah.
They don't have a 10. He would have gone straight into that team. He would
Straight in
have
the
learned
first
from
team.
Sexton, and he would be the next protege for Ireland at 10.
Yeah.
And at the minute, he's has been just sat on the bench as in Dan Bigger's sort of shadow at the minute, because we're just
I don't understand that myself. We were talking about this the other night, me and you, and Sheedy needs to come on first.
You see the game
100%.
change as soon as he comes on. With Dan Bigger, he seems to be quite quiet.
Yeah.
Now he used to be loud. You used to actually hear him on the ref's mic, but now you just don't. You don't see him call anything. You don't see him move. It's just silence.
I think he's and I mean, I don't know, but from what I get from looking at him sometimes, it's like sometimes he just wants to do things his way, and if he
Yeah.
doesn't quite get that, it's like he's saying, you could just see it. You could just see
Yeah.
it, and I think it's difficult because Stephen Jones is probably coming under a lot of scrutiny for Wales lacking creativity, when there's only so much you can teach a group of men a move or how to play, when they've got to go out on the field and they got to call that move, they've got to execute that move. And I think for me at the moment watching Wales, I just get frustrated. I get real frustrated because we are just not playing.
No, there's silly things like Gaff Davis, get that ball out.
Yeah.
Why are you stood there with it, just waiting for the moment? Get it out, go.
Yeah.
And as soon as we have
They're
something
too busy hitting you back.
Yeah.
on, as soon as we have
What's going
something on, it's kick, lose possession. They've got the ball. They run at us.
Well,
Miss a couple of tackles.
yeah, and this is what I can't understand, because in the Gatland era, right, it was very much forward orientated. It was forward against the gain line. They would battle that game for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Then when it come to the backs, it was more than likely territory. So it was ping it long, put a high baller. Very rarely tried crossfield, but it did come into it towards the end. And when Pivac took over, he said that his words were he wanted to be more expansive. He wanted to play more running rugby, which Wales weren't used to. And I think everyone straight away was like, yes, that's what we want.
Need, yeah.
But we haven't seen it yet, and I know it takes time, but you got to think, like, how much time is he willing to lose by trying to teach all these old dogs new tricks? You're talking, how many people in this Welsh squad has been there for 10 years, nearly 10 years, or just over 10 years? You're talking, Ken Owen's been there a fairly long time, might not be 10 years, but fairly long time. Obviously Alan Wynne, Falatau, Lydia, of course, when he was about, Bigger, Jonathan Davis North, Halfpenny, Liam Williams. You're talking like eight odd players who are not just any players, they're big personalities.
Big names.
Big. They've carried the torch for Wales for the last 10 years.
yeah.
So how are you gonna, if they're not buying into how you now want to play, at what point are you gonna make that change?
This is the problem. You got people like Zammit, who's fast on the ball. Josh Adams is fast. And having like Lee Halfpenny, they're not as strong anymore. They're not as fast anymore. They want to get that ball out as quick as possible, and it's just not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
No, I agree. And
George North is trying his best, but it's just not there.
And I think I don't quote me to this, but I could have sworn I heard Cornell was there saying not too long ago that North is not a winger anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't offer to Wales what he offered several years ago with his power and his ability to sort of
See the
sidestep at
Yeah.
a bit of pace with the power. But I don't think he's. I agree with that. I don't quite know if North is. I mean, you look at that back three and you go, would you put North in there? I wouldn't.
No, you got a Speedy on the side and then Liam Williams, which you can
I
just
wouldn't. No,
seize those gaps.
100%. And
The only thing I worry about with our back three is Liam Williams. He's very aggressive lately.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, that's good in a way, but when it comes down to a crunch, it almost seems
decision
like he
making,
wants to go in.
it's game management for him.
Yeah,
And I think with Liam Williams, it works or it don't work. And I just feel that he's our best 15, hands down. It's what he brings, and the fact that I think the last couple of years they've been playing him at wing, haven't they? Between wing and 15, but usually when Halfpenny's fit, they've been playing him wing, and it's like
exactly.
you can see the difference when Halfpenny's there. Now Halfpenny, right, he used to offer us solid D, great under the high ball for a
Great
small
on the high
man,
ball.
and a absolute hell of a kick on him, right? I don't see that now.
The
I
high
just
balls
don't see it.
especially, you
I don't see the kick
it.
no more.
I high ball. He's weak.
Was that fear of another concussion, do you reckon? Same with George
Maybe,
North.
could be,
'cause
could be.
They're on their last concussion, and then as soon as they've had that, they're out.
Well, there you
There's
go.
that fear of-
It could be a lot of things, but I think I just don't see the Halfpenny that we've seen for 3-4 years ago,
Yeah.
and I think now it's probably no one wants to say it's my time up today, but and I'm not probably saying that he should say that, but it comes a time where maybe just he should be on the bench and just come on and calm that game down and
Yeah,
use his experience now rather than starting with all that pressure and teams are exploiting him. Teams are just putting that ball straight up in the air, and like
The problem is with him, he just runs straight. They scoop him up, that ball is dead.
But it's not he's running at the backs, he's running straight to forwards, straight to big players that want to tackle,
Exactly.
not the people that don't want to tackle.
yeah, and he doesn't have the gas he used to have,
No.
where he can exploit a gap, and that's where Liam Williams can.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, because when Liam Williams obtains a ball from a high ball, his first protocol is to run.
Yeah.
And when you're a winger and you play with a 15 where his first protocol is to run direct, straight, exploit the space
Yeah.
Support
first. For me, I love that, because you're getting straight to it. He's and as good as he is,
he can sidestep, he can dodge a move. He's quite slippery. He's a slippery guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
But Halfpenny, he
direct.
got straight
He's
away.
predictable.
It's exactly
100%.
the hit.
And with Liam Williams, like, you could trust him to run into someone and probably boff him just because of his,
Yeah.
like you said, of his aggression.
100%,
And I think
He wants it. I don't think Lee Halfpenny wants it. Like, he wants it, but he doesn't want it as much as Liam Williams. When you see Liam Williams, he's going straight in there, he's hitting him back. He actually wants to, prove something to himself, and maybe to himself and maybe to others, but he's doing a fantastic job out there.
100%.
Who's your player that you think you're going to watch out for in the Welsh team at the moment?
Zamet, hands
it's gotta
down.
be Zamet.
Player to watch this year, who do you think?
For Wales.
For Wales, yeah.
So, for me, it's going to be Zamet, hands down, because although there's a few contenders, obviously, but the reason why I think Zamet, and no one's really said it yet, and probably because of the calibre of player, but we haven't been this excited about a player since Shane Williams.
I suppose, yeah.
Growing up, every time I watched Wales, I was watching Shane Williams. Every time that, like, he picked the ball up, life just shot through the whole game, because you just didn't know what he was going to do. And whenever he was, he did do something, it was just lightning. And I just think that's what I get from Zamet. It's like every time he's got the ball now, and you're like, right,
What's he going to do?
a ball now, bit of space, he's gone. We haven't, well, on the national level, we haven't seen him yet pick the ball up and create his own space just yet.
That little tip over That was
Hogg.
something
Yeah.
else.
To do that to Hogg, mate, and let's face it, Hogg's probably the best 50 in the world
Yeah.
right now. Like,
Mhm.
the
But
guy's
speed,
a joke.
The speed on Zamet, doing that. Wow.
He doesn't just have that
Just-
speed, he has that step, he has
But-
the skill set to back it up.
It shows his confidence.
Oh,
though.
100%.
Like, it shows the confidence to be able to go on the national level against all these players, which majority of people would be intimidated with. Let's say, I don't know, you can put Steph Evans in there, who's
Okay.
another good winger. Had his his spell at Wales, but if you put him in that situation, he probably don't finish that because he's playing in Wales in the
Yeah.
Pro 14, and I think Zamet's sort of boost over that is he's playing in the Premiership. He's
Yeah.
playing against all these players in the Premiership,
Mhm.
and he's tearing it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's only
And-
19, man. You have to think about that. He's young.
Exactly.
19.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what I mean. I think like that him being able to do that on club level, I think has given him that confidence to do it in the national level, and he executed. So there's plenty more to come from him.
Yeah.
For definite. As long as Wales's play suits him. You now for me, I know as a coach you got your style, your philosophy, and how you want to do it, and you're not going to budge too far
Yeah.
from that, and I get that. But if we're going to play expansive rugby, like you said, then that should be right up Zamet's street.
Mhm.
We should be giving him 3 meters of space every
Every
single
single
time he touches that ball. That if that's how Pivac wants to play, and as long as we have a creative 10 willing to take the risk and call the shots,
We need then a new era of boys like them.
again,
New
100%.
Let's get these big names to start hanging their boots up, go into a coaching role.
Mhm.
Let's
See-
start bringing these boys through.
Just on that, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to write that down because there's something Eddie Jones said, which I'll come back to. But again, and another one, I'm not just saying it because I know him, but Sheedy, like he's the kid is just different to do what you're doing at Bristol again in the Viva Prem
Yeah.
against all these same players, and you watch him play, and sometimes he plays like, I don't know, a bit of Bowden Barrett, let's say, someone
Yeah.
who's fearless, who's not scared to try a risky move or hit a gap and get the offload in. That's how he plays. He doesn't like to play.
Passive.
He doesn't like to play
know.
predictable rugby. He doesn't like to play kick in and let's put it on, get a chase on.
Do you think he was meant for that kick at the end of the game? Was it it was Zamet that was, wasn't it? Zamet's kick at the end of the game. Sorry to come off thing.
What?
Was Zamet's kick at the end of the game?
When he missed?
No. It was on the right hand side, turned back, kicked it. Looked like he kicked it with the outside of his foot.
Oh, that 100%. That's Sheedy.
That is
100%.
oh
And when you look at was it 2 kicks Dan Bigger had to touch and he missed just before
Yeah.
Sheedy came on,
Yeah.
and then they brought Sheedy on, and he
Game
had the
change.
exact same kick, and he just went straight to the corner, and it just shows that like, I mean, there's no better time to put your name out there when unfortunately when another person is playing poorly in your position, and Dan Bigger being as experienced as he is, he would have gone down that road at some point. And I think it's time that Dan Bigger probably, if he isn't already, start encouraging these boys and showing them what he knows.
well,
but
yeah, exactly.
Share
but
the
also-
experience.
yeah, sharing his experience 100%. But we just gotta allow him to play, man.
Yeah.
We gotta allow him to just express, and try stuff, and that's where creativity is unpredicted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
Unpredictable of a game.
Yeah, it's not something you go. Before the game, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna kick here, we're gonna kick there, we're gonna play at this point, but only when this has to happen.
Yeah.
That's not rugby. That's not creativity. You've got to be able to go on the pitch and play heads up, play what's in front of you, and go right. Okay,
Improvise
they're
on
rushing up here. They've rushed us 5 times now. Now it's time to go out the back.
Exactly.
You know, or now it's time to put a little dink in behind. Keep them honest. That's where your, especially as a 10, you know, your mentality of governing a game comes into it. So.
That's why you're supposed to read the game properly. You think a game is going in one direction. Ooh, no, I don't think that's going to be right. Let's change it. Change it up.
Who do you think your player to watch is?
See, now me, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's Halaholo.
Yeah, Halaholo.
Wow.
And that's another great pick.
player.
I tell you what he's doing at Cardiff Blues at the moment is phenomenal.
And we're a year
Absolutely
behind.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
We're a year behind. He was in the squad last Six Nations, and he managed, unfortunately, to get injured. But definite good shout.
He is an absolute monster.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of a very young Jean Lumu. That's what kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
He's got that step. He's got that power. He's just a beast. He's an absolute beast.
The age of, what is he, 33?
And again,
I'm not sure.
I think he might be 33, and he's just a powerhouse to keep going. Like,
And you
hitting them.
need those boys with those big powerhouses. You get that ball in, bang, get them through, smash it up.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
You
and
know,
I
ready
think
for those boys like Sheedy to put some game line into things.
well, he showed
Get Zammit
though,
running onto the ball.
when he came on last week. He showed that I think he went on the wing. He went out of position, and he just showed. You know, I think at one point in the game he come flying up out of the line and made a tackle.
Yeah.
You know, about 7-8 meters behind their game line. So you know that's how good it was. He chopped them and cut them at source, and you know,
But
for him
he's
to
one of those
read the game like
versatile
that.
players. He can play different positions.
Yeah.
You know, but he's just something else.
Now another one that hasn't had much said about him lately, but is definitely should be in that squad without a doubt, is Jared Evans.
Yeah.
He's another 10 that you just look at him and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You're like, wow. Like the things he does, the way he plays, the sidestep on the kid, the handoff on the kid, is just ridiculous. And I know he's had a bit of scrutiny for his kicking game, because his kicking for posts or his kicking for touch might not be as strong as other 10s, but he makes up for that in his running game and his governing, you know,
those yards in.
and him and Sheedy, what a battle that is for 10.
Oh,
I just think
definitely, but it's nice to have someone like that on the bench. If
Yeah.
she gets injured or she needs to come off for any reason. But it's lovely to have someone that she's straight back in. You still got the same game set. You still got the same game mind, which is fantastic.
I don't think anyone would complain if one week Sheedy was playing, 1 week Jared was playing. I don't think anyone would go, oh, you know, unless, don't get me wrong, one of them who played had an absolute storm, and then you would continue. But I just don't think anyone would complain. And I think when our halfbacks, the young ones coming through, you know, Thomas Williams, you got Kieran Hardy now and Jared Sheedy. You're just like, it's bright, isn't it? What we're looking at it's
nice to see. I know we were saying earlier about the old players. You know, kind of need to step back a bit. But you've still got people like Falatau. He is actually on point at the moment. You know, he's mopping up tackles. Tipperick is just something else.
Tipperick's brilliant. Oh,
He is something else. You know, it's nice to see Josh Navini back in the pack, back in the running, which is great. Alwyn Jones, I think he needs to. I think it should be his last Six Nations.
I think I don't know what's happened. I feel like something's happened, because, mate, in the autumn he was unreal. Like it was however many caps it was.
146 caps.
I'm not sure. It was something.
45 now.
And
he's 45 now, is he?
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, he just had a sort of presence about him. You know, it was like, I'm still here. I'm still doing it, and he was doing it well.
Yeah.
You know, and his biggest thing he brought was his leadership, and I haven't seen that recently. I haven't seen it. I've seen him stand next to the referee in the last couple of games. I haven't seen him argue
Not
like he would.
challenging him, no.
I haven't seen him be the cool, calm, collected Alan Wynne who knows how to get into other players' heads.
Yeah.
And not let it affect his game. I haven't seen that. And that's, at the moment, I'm like, you know, last week, how many penalties did he give away?
They
I think
gave
at one
away
point it was 4.
three in the first 10 minutes. Something like that.
That's not him, is it?
It's
That's
not
not
at
him. And I don't think it's fair for anyone to jump on his case and say, no, he should hang his boots up, no, he should knock it on the head, because he's given away 4 or 5 penalties, because that's the most he's given away in probably the last 2-3 years of his career.
I suppose, but I just think that his mindset is not there now at the moment.
And I would probably agree with that, and that's what I'm saying.
Is that down to the when Pivic first started, he lost so many games at that time?
Yeah,
Could
that's
that
the thing.
be-
We don't know. Does he buy into what Pivac's saying? Is he getting on with that? Is he just now at the point where he's like, I don't quite. Or he might not feel maybe physically capable to play how Pivac wants to, so he's just gonna trot his way to.
Suppose.
I think he's got to go to the Lions, and I think
without a shadow of a doubt.
he's got to do the next World Cup. I think,
Yeah.
and then maybe,
Yeah.
step to the side and allow others to come through. But he's a difficult conversation.
Who would you put in there if Alwyn won there?
I don't know. I really don't know. You look at that, and you got Corey Hill. Well, Corey Hill's the only one. James Bothan in the back row, but you got Corey Hill, Adam Beard at the moment. Adam Beard's been brilliant. A good player. Corey Hill's really good. I really do like Corey Hill. Seb Davis is another one. I know he's been playing between 8 and back row. 8 and lock with the Blues, but Seb Davis is another one that can come through. But I think Wales are on the right track.
Yeah, I think so.
I just think it's time to make that gritty decision and start.
Yeah. This is what I thought he was doing in the beginning when Perry first started to take over, was to bring those young lads in, start giving them a bit of game time,
Yeah.
just to show them what it will be like in those big competitions. But then all of a sudden it changed back to the old boys again.
Yeah.
And they started bringing in Zamet again, and I thought, now I think he's getting it. It's time. It is time for these boys. Who do you think your player?
I think obviously as I play a scrum half, it's got to be Kieran Hardy, because just the way he plays when he's come on, with the connection between the 9 and 10. Obviously when he came on with Sheedy, you could see that 9 and 10 connection, which you do need to play rugby.
Yeah.
Because they govern the game, they make the decisions, and he's doing really well. To go from where he's came to then going to the Wales team, and now as we can see, starting against probably one of the biggest rivalries, Wales vs England, and he's starting straight in there as a 9, which obviously is a really big weight on his shoulder to carry.
Yeah.
Especially against such a team.
So,
Yeah.
let's talk about the England team. Let's
We've got
go
to.
into this.
I was waiting for it, but yeah, we have.
It's got to happen.
No, but I mean, credit where it's due. They're a good team. They're a bloody good team.
They're a fantastic team.
What he's
I
done
know
with that
everyone
team.
gives him scrutiny over things, like Ford, the way he's playing. Owen Farrell.
I gotta say it publicly, and a lot of people disagree, a lot of people agree. I just really don't like the guy. I really don't like the guy.
He's
I'm
a
sorry.
smarmy little prick.
Yeah.
Sorry, but he is.
But the annoying thing is he does all this stuff and you hate him, but if he didn't do some of the stuff like the tackles, his tackling just, it bugs me because it's not actually tackling, it's just shoulder charging. But if he did get that tackling down, what a player he would be.
Oh, yeah.
Which
He's
is
a
annoying.
brilliant player.
He's a fantastic player. That's the
Brilliant
thing.
player.
He is. His gameplay is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But he's just.
I mean, you look at that England back line there, and you're like, that's a strong back line. Like, what a line that is. Slade, Daly, Watson, May. Now Watson's been on a good run of form to get back into that team, and he's a dangerous player. He can be very, sort of a big threat even for England. So
Yeah.
and May, again. Who's May? May's up against Zamet, yeah. I mean, we all want to know how that one ends, don't we?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Two
That's
teammates.
good.
They talk about racing, and
Yeah,
we all know Zamet smoked him. Just putting that out there, in case you didn't know, the Welshman was the faster one.
You got some legs on you, mind. You got some speed on you.
We're not going
I
to go
tell
there.
you what, that could be a nice challenge. Nice challenge. Zamet, if you're out there and you're listening, go with Flowers wants a race you.
I've already told him, mate. He said no. He won't be able-
Oh, is he?
I'll put it to May next time. I'll put it to May. Now I know May's slower. I mean, if I can do May, Zam, will you consider?
Give it a go. We'll give
But
it a
no,
go.
definitely, it's going to be a great challenge.
Yeah.
Elliot Daly, another real good player, 15,
Yeah.
massive boot.
Good player. George Ford, fantastic player.
2 newbies though on the bench.
Billy Venipola.
Okay, so I haven't been on a great run of form lately.
No.
Been playing poor, and I read something earlier that which basically states that Eddie Jones is sticking with these poor run of players, so to speak, and I hope they're going to turn around, which is probably is it a big risk? I don't know, because they've done it before,
No.
and
To be
everyone
fair,
turns
I'd
up.
rather them be off their game. So
Yeah, but you know what it's
school
like.
them, but
Everyone turns up in a derby. Everyone
Yeah,
turns up
yeah.
against Wales, don't they? So
they've got to.
100%. And Curry, what a player! What a
Fantastic player. Again, that's, I mean, the England squad is a very, very strong squad. Eddie Jones has got it right.
I told you, another brilliant player. And let's talk about Sinclair, right? I think he's a really good player, but I think he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we've seen it before, but I mean, if you're Wales now, Eddie Jones, England came out and said that they're going to target Dan Biggar and they're going to target Zamet with the high balls and put him under pressure. Now, that's clever because Zamet, for me, in the last few games, I don't see that he likes the high ball often.
Yeah.
When we put our balls up and he's chasing, I feel like a lot of those balls he can get up for unchallenged, like Josh Adams, but he doesn't. And being as height and as quick as he is in the run up he can get quite high.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that's going to come into his game as time goes on, or if it's something they're going to try and force into his game. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that's what Eddie Jones has seen, and that's why he said that. And that is England's game, if they want it to be, is those crossfield kicks, high balls, put them under pressure.
That's the only thing I
fumble.
don't want is a kicking game. I can't stand why teams do this kicking game. Just, you've dropped the ball.
Yeah.
These players are athletes. They should be able to catch every single ball. So it just gets boring.
I know, and it's one of those things. If they put a kick long downfield and it hits into touching the 5 metre line, you're laughing.
Yeah.
If they put a kick downfield and they drop the ball, you're laughing. But like you said, this shouldn't happen often with the quality of players at national level. So it for the people watching, it does get boring.
Yeah,
I get
definitely.
bored of seeing it. I want to, and that's why I like to see that back three, because it's a running back three.
Yeah.
It's not a kicking back three. Yes, Liam can kick, Josh can kick, and Lewis can kick. But
and under pressure they can.
yeah,
But
we don't want
first
them
thing
to.
in their head, like we said earlier, they'll run,
Mm-hmm.
which is great.
So I think where England, if Wales want a chance against England, they're gonna have to be dominant.
Yeah.
But in the collision, they're gonna have to win the collision dominance for me, because at the minute, especially against Ireland and Scotland, we have not been as dominant as what we should in those rucks.
Yeah.
And producing that quick ball for the 9, or producing the quick play in general, because we're too slow.
Yeah.
Especially when the last 2 teams have had 14 men, it's like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? You're looking at it and you're going, well, we should be making the most of this.
Oh God.
We
yeah.
should be flying through these rucks at some force,
Which
and that's what England are going to do.
Yeah, they'll exploit it straight away.
100%. They're going to
100%.
fly through the rucks.
They'll put that ball where that player is supposed to be.
100%. So it's interesting. I was going to kick off, and we talk about them two, but Ireland and Italy, you got a pretty good Irish team at the moment. Probably not the best.
Do you think they put their first boys out against Italy?
Yeah, I think they should do. You know, they're bottom from last, other than... That didn't make sense. They're one from bottom, other than Italy.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not going to want to sit there, because technically then out of the other 5, they're going to be classed as the worst. And they're too good to do that, aren't they? To be fair,
Yeah,
Andy
yeah.
Farrell's not going to allow that. So they're going to go out with guns blazing to set a
people have
statement.
put on Italy, they're going to want another bonus point.
Well, you know, you would... I mean, I don't know. Scotland could turn France over, right? But let's say they don't, and Ireland run train on Italy. You know, they can claw a couple of bonus points and jump
Yeah.
above Scotland quite easily. So, and possibly even England, if Wales beat England. So it's a tough one, and how it goes. But that France-Scotland game is so difficult to call. So difficult to call because the way Scotland have been playing, and I was last week, you know, when they went down.
It's just a totally different team to what we've ever seen.
Yeah.
To what we've ever seen.
And they deserve it. Like, they've been going years and trying to come
yeah.
there and almost there, and then they slip away.
To finally beat England
Yeah.
in their backyard.
So happy.
Oh,
So happy. Sorry, all my English friends, but if you know me, you know. So happy. I was Scottish for that day.
oh,
Oh,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, freedom. But no, definitely France and Scotland's going to be a hell of a game. I think, well,
Yeah.
if France can get half of a team out along with half a newbies, but who are going to put it on the line, then they can take it to Scotland and maybe just run at them with defence, and just kick the points. But
Yeah, definitely.
Scotland were very ill-disciplined last week, so I think, week before, but I think they got to tone that down if they want an opportunity to do France, really, and stay positive. But who's your money on that?
On
France, Scotland.
it depends. Will they call a game off because of this COVID?
Quite potentially.
You know, if I don't know, I don't know. To be honest, I'd love it if Scotland did.
Dunham.
I would love it if Scotland did, because I think that they've come into this game so strong, and I think they deserve it. Generally deserve it. So yeah, I would go Scotland.
Cool.
You in?
It's a difficult one because France, as much as they bring those 31 players up, it's not going to be the same team as they started with, is it? It's not going to be that same players that they just, the ones that just have had COVID. It's just...
Oh, when you go from Dupont to,
Yeah.
probably one of the best up-and-coming nines at the moment. You look at him, jeez.
And France rugby at the moment is
Scary.
it is scary, yes.
So...
I can't.
Come on.
Also, I know if Scotland did win.
So you go to Scotland?
Yeah, I think I have to.
I'm going to say France.
Okay.
Because on the basis if Scotland are any as ill-disciplined as what they were, I think it's going to cost them.
Yeah.
And they there's no better time to play France, I guess. So it's definitely there for them to win, and if they do win, I'd be happy for them, very happy.
Yeah.
But I've got to say France. I mean, France got too much. It's theirs to lose, man.
Yeah.
You got too much, and so this weekend I think I'm going for France, and I'll obviously go for Wales, and I'm gonna say obviously Ireland. It's gonna have to be,
Yeah, I'm kind of Scotland, obviously Wales, because they're the best team in the country. And,
in the country.
And yeah, Ireland.
You say Ireland as well, do you?
Same, yeah.
I mean, poor Italy.
I know.
Is it time though? While we're talking about that, is it time to look at maybe bringing in the relegation? There's a lot of talk about it.
I think so, because it means that they can fight to come back.
Yeah.
But
I don't know who they're talking about.
I still don't understand how we end up with the Six Nations anyway.
I don't know. It sounds silly, right? But it's probably not impossible. But I would love to see your Fiji and your Samoa competing to come into it. You know,
I'm sure I heard something about that before. About a southern team coming up.
it might be. Well, if you think the Pro 14, they travelled to what, South Africa, didn't they, to play the South African team? So I don't see why. You know, a 6 or 8, what was it, 10-week summer like not summer camp, a 10-week camp for them to come over here and play a load of games. I don't see why.
At least then they'll change up. There's probably 7 or 8 nations, and change up the game.
Yeah.
Because they'll have to play the different strengths and different weaknesses and things like that on different teams. You know, at the moment, France know how England plays, Wales knows how Scotland plays.
Yeah.
It's the same repetition all the time.
Yeah.
And this is why I like about Scotland at the moment, because they've just changed it up.
Yeah,
Completely changed it up. But,
I said Russell though, pulling strings, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very good 10. And to go back to what you said as well earlier, you know, you said about some of the players hanging up their boots and going into coaching. And there was a quote recently, I think Eddie Jones was on a podcast not too long ago, and he was saying that the issue with coaching at the moment is all these ex-players are retiring and going into coaching.
Yeah.
So people are learning from players and not coaches, you know, which I think is right. Like,
yeah.
You know, you imagine, like, I'm a coach myself, I'm in university, so you imagine me putting all my effort into, you know, trying to become a coach, trying to learn different philosophies whilst find my home, and you're putting all this effort and studying, and then you've got someone who's played at the professional level, could have only had several caps, but they've played at the professional level and decide to hang up the boots, and they go straight into coaching. They get put straight onto level 3, which is you get invited to, you know, you have to get invited to in Wales. So, you know, all these people who are waiting for it, and you've got these professionals just retiring and going straight onto it, and then coaching, taking the jobs, and you're thinking, well, you know, is it fair and does it work? No, I don't think it does. No. Not always.
No.
Sometimes.
Don't get me wrong, it's nice to have that international player as a coach, which is great. Mm-hmm. But you know, you've got people like yourself who've been coaching for a while, and just hitting block ends all the time, Yeah. Because of different politics.
It just shows about who you know.
Oh, of course, yeah.
100%. It's who you know rather than not so much. You know, you of course you've got to know stuff, but it's not so much that, is it? It's about who you know, and you know the right people, and unfortunately, you're going to get yourself in the right position, I'd imagine. So
it's nice to see the refereeing side of things as well, with Nigel Owens going into coaching actual refereeing.
Well, he said, someone asked him actually not too long ago. He did like a podcast thing, and someone asked him about the refs, and he said about the laws and changing the laws, and he said he said the laws don't need to be changed; they just need to be refed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Which is massive. But if you look at, I don't know if you've noticed, and especially you as a 9U, like Wayne Barnes lately, 5-second rule. What's this like? The ball's not even presented for the 9, and he's going, use it. You know,
how can you use it if you haven't touched the ball?
Yeah,
the ball's just still in the ruck. It isn't out. It isn't there presented for it to get followed through into the backs or to the forwards. It's not there, so he can't call it until
he just says it so soon.
Ready. Just because you can see the ball in there doesn't mean
you watch
as soon as they're digging out.
You watch this weekend now, right? If he's reffing, which he will be, you watch him. Other refs are not as quick on it. They do say it, and it must be something the referee board or whatever have stated. They must have said that we need to look at this and start speeding it up.
Yeah.
But I just think it applies more pressure.
Oh,
you're talking about these people flying in to try and clear the rucks out with their chicken wings or whatever, and you're like, well, in their heads, they just, let's get the ball. We need the ball, quick ball. Let's clear the ruck out. If someone's being a nuisance in there, clear it out. And in last week's game or week before, Warburton was talking about jackling is a skill. Mm-hmm. It's something that few can do, and that's why when people can do it, they're very good at doing it. And he was one to do it.
Tipuric is the master.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, but
he is absolute master.
But there are very few that can do that skill. And when you're there and you're leaving yourself dangling and you're out of position and you've got poor body technique because you don't really know how to jackal, then it's going to look worse than what it is when you've taken a bump from someone who wants to clear the ruck because they need to speed the player because they've got 5 seconds to use it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, no.
It really doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
So it is interesting. I do think we probably need to keep an eye on the refs over the next sort of year of rugby to see how it is they're evolving. Because ultimately, you know, they govern the game, didn't they? So
yeah, that's right.
it's interesting.
If anybody else has got any opinions, leave them in the comments. Put them in some comments. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know.
Any questions that you want us to ask, we'll ask. We can ask it for you.
We've tried to talk about, like we said, it's unscripted. There's no script. That we've all just spoken off the cuff, but it's stuff that we would have a conversation in a pub. Exactly. You know what I mean? So there's things which a lot of people probably agree, a lot of people disagree. But either way, let us know. You know, we're on Instagram now. We're on YouTube.
Yeah,
so
The Shed.
Come follow us. The Shed 101. And thanks
Instagram?
for listening.
We're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram.
This is on Instagram. The Shed.
This is on Instagram.
101.
The Shed 101.
101.
101.
Thanks for coming on, you, and helping us with our first
thank you for
podcast.
Letting me come on.
Yeah,
no worries at all.
Good, mate. It's good. It's good to have you chat. I'm excited about us doing more, and stay tuned because our next episode we're going to look to bring in David Gripper Griffiths, former, still is a mentor of mine in the coaching side of it. Helped me a lot with coaching. Brought me on board with the Cardiff Blues under 16 South. And just help me develop and grow as a coach. So, we want to talk to him next week about his experiences and how he can see the game going forward, and how he's got to where he's got to, and we'll look to do that more and more and have more people on, talk about their philosophies and so on. So if there's any recommendations within reason that you'd like to see someone on the podcast, then let us know.
Yeah, we'll try and get them on there for you. So let's wrap it up. Speak to you all soon.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We are The Shed.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow
Like our channel.
Like our channel.
And we'll see you next week.
Peace. Thank you.